أجنبي يقول أنه إذا كنت تتحدث اللغة العربية فربما يعمل دماغك بطريقة مختلفة عن الآخرين. هل يقصد العرب أم الأجانب الذين تعلموا اللغة العربية؟
If you speak Arabic, your brain might work differently from everyone else. I know that sounds fake, but multiple academic studies have suggested that this might be true, and I'd love to explain them to you, but first, what makes Arabic so special? Well, the vast majority of languages on Earth do something called concatenative morphology. Basically, all that means is that to form words, you start with root words and then tack on prefixes or suffixes. Once you look at a few examples, you realize that's not as confusing as it sounds. That's just how new words are created. Root words contain core information, and then affixes give additional information. But the Semitic languages, including Arabic, do something called non-concatenative morphology. To create new words, instead of starting with root words and tacking on prefixes and suffixes, the core meaning is in the root consonants, and the additional meaning is in the vowel pattern. So the root consonants k, t, b have to do with writing, but ktb isn't a word. Instead, you have to put them into a pattern. So kataba, he wrote, or katib, a writer, or maktaba, a place of writing. And we can reuse these patterns with other roots. So darasa, he studied, daris, a studier, madrasa, a place of studying. As such, many grammarians and linguists have long argued that, unlike most languages which form new words across a single dimension, Arabic works multi-dimensionally. Words are formed on both a root level as well as a pattern level. That is pretty wacky, but that's just a theoretical model. It's not like the brain is actually processing Arabic across multiple levels, right? Allow me to introduce you to this landmark paper, which is going to argue exactly that, all thanks to one Lebanese man, ZT. In his 30s, ZT suffered from a stroke, which left him with a pretty severe language disorder, and as a result, he often performs metathesis, which is when two letters swap around in a word. We often do this in casual speech, like if you've ever pronounced the word asterisk as asterix or comfortable as comfortable, that's metathesis. But here's the key insight. Before his stroke, ZT was fluent in both French and Arabic. So what if we compare how he does metathesis in French with how he does it in Arabic? Here are some examples of his metathesis in French, and you can see that pretty much no letter is safe. Consonants and vowels are all jumbled alike. But now let's check out his Arabic metathesis. See anything interesting? First off, note that the vowels are completely fixed. They never metathesize. But even among the consonants, something weird is going on. Like the initial m, it never metathesizes. In fact, only consonants that are part of the root ever go through metathesis. Wait, so only root consonants go through metathesis? On the multidimensional model, that means metathesis only affects the root level, but the pattern level is untouched. So when ZT had his stroke, in French, the metathesis affected the entirety of language processing. But in Arabic, it only affected the root level, which is pretty strong evidence to suggest that the root and pattern levels really do separately exist inside of the brain,